should have been a cowboy. I should have learned to rope ride.
Felipe, we're back in action.
We're back at it, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well. Had a nice sesh. Went out, got a little practice in the sunshine. The wind quit blowing too, so I actually took the hoodie off. It was so nice.
No way. T-shirt weather, eh?
Yeah, we've just been having like that kind of desert winter chill. Like when the wind's blowing, man, it cuts through you. It's cold, like your ears hurt. Like it's just been that kind of winter days here lately.
Yeah, man, the southern United States, it can be a hit or miss. Did you see Florida getting snowed upon 100 years?
Dude,
Wow.
yeah, okay, because I saw people in New Orleans were playing hockey in the streets, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, they can play hockey? Like, that's crazy. I saw a guy salting his driveway.
I saw that one too, dude. That was so funny out there with
like
the
he was
kitchen
salting a steak. Like, I was like, at least you do the soul bass.
Yeah, you
like,
got to salt bay him.
Soul bay. I turned him into a fish, soul bass.
It's so funny. I feel like we see those videos of crazy Floridians out there and like the major hurricanes where they're like, America, fuck yeah. But then it snows
like
and
jogging.
they're like, nah. They're like,
it's
nope,
like
we're out on the
It's
snow.
like, nah, man. We do wind, we do rain, we do hurricanes. We do not do snow.
I don't blame them.
Man, during the hurricane, there was a guy from CNN out there. Like, when they do that newscast where they put him in the worst possible spot. And the guy's like almost flying away. He's like, yeah, Bob, winds are reaching. And then a guy just nonchalantly jogs in the background in Florida. Like the reporter stops and looks at him like, okay. So
And then you see a street sign fly by and you're like, whoa.
What the hell? So funny. So what were you doing? Are you healing or heading? What are you doing for the big truck tournament here?
I'm gonna be heading. It's a number 10.5, and I'm numbered a straight 5 on the head side, which is like just a primo number right now. So I've just been dedicating time to the head side. I've got Grady Quam helping me get my handles just fully dialed in, dude. Like just nice bend, show the feet, open them up, get them. So I'm
Get 'em, boy.
bro. I'm stoked.
And who are you riding?
I'm gonna be riding Big Ledoux, Tiger's head horse.
Big Ledoux. That horse is beautiful, and he's really coming onto his own. Eh? You guys have done a great job with him,
dude. He's so talented. Like he'll Tiger can back him in the box anywhere, and he'll take care of her. Go to the cow, let her do her thing, and then man, he picks up a gear when I get on him and kind of like, let's go, dude. Like it's fucking game time. We're running a muley, sharp starting some bitch. Like let's go. And man, he steps up to the plate, fast learner. Like you show him a few times, he picks it up, and then it's on you to like, okay, you got that. Now the next thing. So he's a really cool horse.
man. I love that. Those are my favorite kind of horses. To me, is the horse that you can like go out there and win a truck on and be competitive, and he can be fiery, and he can just get there and then you put, someone that maybe doesn't have that much experience roping or riding, and they just switch. It's like you can see their demeanor. They're like, oh, I need to be more careful with this person. And like, you can't put a price on that, man. That's unbelievable how intelligent these animals are to be able to turn that switch.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. And you know what, Tiger, we talk about it and laugh about it all the time. She lucked out big time because she bought this sucker sight unseen.
Yeah.
Like freaking never rode him. And just knew he was a good broke ranch horse. It was recommended to her, and she's like, sure, I've got the money, let's do it. And he's been an absolute angel.
Yeah, because usually it's the other way around, right? You're like, oh, this is a kid's horse. You get him back, and it's like, well, both my kids now have broken legs, and I need to sell this thing. But yeah, that's very nice that she was able to get that surprise, and now you guys can both rope off him, eh? And he's young. How old is he?
He's turning 9 this year.
And he's a good looking horse too. I love that look.
Oh my God, yeah. Big, black, 4 white socks, white blaze, like just a beauty.
Yeah. Okay, so Cowboy Cole, today we got Lori from Bronc Riding Nation. I'm super excited to chat with her. How many girls have we had now on the podcast? We had
Amber.
Started with Amber, right?
Yeah. Now
Amber
we kicked us off. And dude, so this will be girl number 3.
Girl number 3.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Amber, Bella, and Lori. Okay, I'm excited. She got an amazing story. I met her, I want to say 3 years ago at the NFR, at the awards she does. Every year she does these awards to celebrate not only the real athletes, the humans riding these broncs, but also the animals. She values the horses so much, and she is one of the people that is helping us ensure the sustainability of Western sports and rodeo. And I have so much love for her. Those people that you just like becomes your mother, like you just want to hug her when you see her. She's that kind of person. So I'm super excited to talk to her. Let's see what Lori's got in store.
Hello.
Hey,
Lori's in the house. How are
right
you,
on
ma'am?
time. I am good. How are you?
Oh, I
Doing
was
well.
good, but now I'm a million times better after seeing that beautiful smile. It makes me so happy. Thank you so much for being on with us.
You have to know that I am so excited to be not only know and love you, but to be interviewed by you. This is
Uh,
where I fell in love with you. It's like, how does he get people just to like rip out their souls and hand them to him on a silver platter? How does he do that? It's
yeah,
like it's so
right.
amazing. So I do your thing, man. I'm excited.
No, we're so happy to have you on. Have you met Cole before?
Oh, hi Cole. I'm Lori.
Nice to meet you. I've heard a lot about.
Felipe.
Well, I hope it was all good or at least
Oh,
reasonable.
It was all
only
phenomenal.
only
Often.
phenomenal things. Only phenomenal things. So, Lori, thanks for making the time to be with us. I first met you. I was telling Cole, was it 3 years ago that we did the awards for the first time?
3 years ago that we did the awards for the first time, yes. And we were in the media room when we met. Remember?
We met in the media room. That is correct, covering the NFR. Lori, just to give you guys some background, she is the what can I call you? The face, the heart of Bronc Riding Nation, the president, the CEO, the what do you call yourself?
Lori, your guess
Oh,
is mine. I'm
she's
sorry. You know,
she.
when asked
Phenomenal.
to define Bronc Riding Nation, that's the most difficult question in the world. A, it's one of a kind. B, it evolves like life, like everything does normally. I mean, it's not really structured in any way, shape, or form. The goals remain the same. But, you know, who am I? I keep the coffee hot, is what I do. I keep the coffee hot. I built a platform for good people to talk about great things and just kind of use spurs when necessary. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, I
Yes,
like your
ma'am.
style.
That's why we love Lori, but she's also very humble, folks. She started Bronc Riding Nation, a nonprofit that's out there literally protecting our horses, our competitors, this world that we love so much, and ensuring the sustainability of rodeo of Western heritage. I have the honor. You gave me this when I first met you, and I carry it all over the world, everywhere
I
I
love
go.
that.
Tell me
I
about the
love that.
logo. I love the logo. Tell me about this.
You know, the logo, like anything else I tend to involve with or become part of the evolution with, is real meaningful. So I'm born in Missouri, didn't know any native people, always was ultra curious about, you know, the origins and the history and the spirituality and the things that make a culture a culture. So Bronc Riding Nation immediately sent me off on the path to meet native people. And it's so interesting. I love it so much because, you know, you kind of stumble in, you're this lost white chick, and, you know, it's like, okay, so who are you and why are you here? Which is the coolest question to me in the world. I mean, don't just stalk around me and pussyfoot around me for days. Let's get it out there, right? And you know, once I start talking about bucking horses, it's like, oh my god, I turn into this kid in the candy store, and it's like, you know, the general response is after about 2 polite minutes, it's like, okay, Lori, shut up, we got it, we got it, you know? Yeah. So the medicine wheel itself, which makes up the bulk of the logo, the circle with all the four colors. The four colors are all the colors of man, all the colors that naturally occur in Earth, the soil itself. The segments are because we are separated and it's on a circle because we're all together in this. I mean, we're all related. The medicine wheel says that. The cross in the middle, in our case, it's the Northern Cheyenne Tribes cross. So it's actually not on a square. It's canted on like just a slant. So, but that cross is the crossroads and the rites of passage and where we join other cultures to learn what they have to offer and to honor and acknowledge and then to go back to our own and enlighten our own and travel this circular path that we're on. So the bucking horse, a silhouette of Philip Whiteman, who was the poor unfortunate native man who I first came on to, the lost white girl, right? And who showed me so much patience. It's from a photo of him riding a Harry Vold horse back when the Volds had Cheyenne. So it's meaningful to him, it's meaningful to us. The eagle feathers that are on there were drawn by Jerry Hildreth. So Jerry Hildreth came to my attention early on in the Bronc Riding Nation journey. He had lost his bronc riding son to a traffic accident, a road accident down in Arizona. And the family, of course, was in grief, and it was a horrible thing. So, we try to reach in and do what we can. Sometimes it's just a note and some flowers, which is pretty much, I've grieved. It's all you can do. You can just try to let people know that you're with them and you're thinking of them and that beautiful things are here. Don't forget to see the beauty in all your grief, right? So Jerry had drawn those eagle feathers for his son, Alan Hildreth's shaps. And I took one look at them and went, "Oh, please, can we please?" And he drew them up so he could put them on the logo. And that's kind of all encompassing. If you stop to think about, any phase of life, that carries any phase of life, So we're there with the medicine wheel, just to say automatically that we're inclusive, that we understand that the culture of bronc riding contains many different cultures and subcultures, that we respect and honor them all, and we want the world to know about them. You know, there's a book that's been, on the list of things to do called Air, that's just a series of short stories that surround this community. And my goal would be to get it for free in all like junior high schools, middle schools, young reader level. But I want every child to be able to pick up this book and, see a horse, because horses they're so attractive. They grab everybody's love, to pick it up and say, "Oh, okay," and thumb through it and find somebody with a similar story who looks similar to them. I mean, we all walk through this world and we become adults, and we're supposed to be independent and stand on our own. And we do, most of us. But it's not like we don't have a tribe behind us. We're out there alone, but our tribe is always behind us, and they're always hoping for us, and they're always picking off the little things that you wouldn't have picked off or you wouldn't have thought of. It's like that. I want the world to know the invasive spiritual quality that horses have. Stop and think about this, Felipe. If everybody you met knew how to automatically tone their energy down to be soft and low and not scary at all and open and interested and welcoming, to turning that same energy way up to become 16 times your size, and you're big and you're strong and you're forceful and you command that attention. If everybody understood that, like horse people have to learn that. It's self-defense,
Yes, ma'am.
I mean,
Yes,
it's part
ma'am.
of the 101.
Yes, ma'am.
So
I
if
think.
everybody learned that, wouldn't the world be a different place?
Oh, I always
Amen.
say that I have a huge belief that if more kids had the opportunity to be around horses from an early age, we would have so much more empathy, so much more love, such a better world. Now, I want to talk about Bronc Riding Nation a little later. I want to get into it, how long you've started it, everything, the amazing things you're doing. But first, I want to learn about you, Lori. Where does it all start? What was it like growing up? What was your life like?
Born a horse crazy kid to subdivision parents, they tried to give me back and nobody would have it. So as soon as I got the chance, I mean, everything that I did was like geared toward get me near a horse, get me near a horse, get me near a horse. I quit school at 16 because I could get near a horse if I quit school. They weren't teaching me anything I wanted to know in school anyway. So I just, I know how to read. I can teach myself most everything you need to know. So that's what I did. I'm wholly 100%.
Where is this, Lori? Where is this? Where are you in the world?
Missouri. I'm in Missouri, in central Missouri, which is kind of like homogenized. It's kind of rodeo Switzerland, and there's really no industry here. There's no racing. There's no reason to have an industry. So the result is hay is cheap and shade is plentiful. The grass is good here. So I like it here. This is where I stayed with, every other option in the world once you decide that you're loose on the world.
So tell me about that decision at 16 to leave school. And when you say to chase the horse, what did that mean? Literally, was it an opportunity, a job?
It was a job. It was a job. Well, I in the interim, I did what all 16-year-olds on a very destructive path did, which is, like fall in love and have a baby. Ooh, that's always fun, right? So my poor daughter ends up raising me. Yeah. When I'm 21, she and I go to work on a ranch, pretty close within driving distance, Southern Illinois. The Cletus Hulling Ranch. So Barbara Hulling Schulte, her dad. So I fall into this mess of complete top hands, right? who, I walked in, and an old feller looked up at me, and he said, "This is the only thing I want to hear from you ever. I am green as grass, and I came here to learn. I will do anything you ask me to do with a horse."
Wow.
Check.
I like this guy.
I just got shivers.
You're right. You know, I mean, just okay, yeah, that'll work. That's what I'll do. Right. So that's what happens. So, when you have a child, and you're not going to stay with both parents aren't going to stay together. The only reasonable thing to do is to co-parent, and it takes grown-ups to co-parent. I mean, you've got to be serious about the kid is first, right? So all of that rolls along. So, I mean, I roll on, and without a degree, I mean, in high school diploma is easy to get. A GED is like, I mean, walk down to the corner, answer 3 questions, pick up your GED, right? So, you got to say,
I did not know that. I did not know
yeah,
that.
yeah, pretty much. I thought, at first I thought this was going to be a big scary test. So there's classes they offer. So I went to one hour's worth of one class and went, "No, I think I got this. Let's take the sample test." So drove down, did a GED, done, right
It's
on.
easier than getting your pro card, eh?
Absolutely easier than
Yeah, it
getting
is.
your pro card. Yeah, 100%. So I took every job in the world that would put me in a position to learn something that I thought would be of importance. So you really can't raise a child and be a day working cowgirl. It's not nice. So I mean, a radio station, a newspaper, real estate development, places that I thought had something to teach. So instead of paying to go to school, I got paid the apprentice program to go to school and take the short hard course. Step up or get out, right? So I've learned a lot of things along the way. Bronc Riding Nation came about. I had the habit, and still do, basically, of stepping outside and praying, and being grateful, and thanking God and Creator for everything. My children, my house, my home, my husband, my dogs, my horse, my life. I wouldn't change a thing. The only thing I'd change is don't ever make me, spin that key in that car and go to town again. I don't want to go to town. I like it right now. And within 1 year, the boys were dead. The horse was dead. The house had burned down. And you got to kind of ask yourself at that point in time, the first time big grief hits you, it's so surprising. It's so shocking. I didn't know that heartbreak was physical. I didn't know that eyes had pores because every one of them burns when you cry for a year straight. I didn't know these things. So, after you learn that once, and then you learn it again, and it happens to be your child, and you've lost your horse in your home also, you know, I don't know about normal people, but if you're me, you tend to look up at God and go, "What again?" You apparently didn't like anything I had going on, and you had other purposes and other reasons, other places for these spirits that I just dearly love to be. So why am I still here? And what about me? What do you want to do with me? Because here I am, and I don't have to be. I can check out. It's an easy thing. What do you want me to do? And I promise you, that's where Bronc Riding Nation was born. You have a quirky skill set, Lori. You're horse crazy. You always have been. You always will be. You've dedicated your life to doing the day-to-day work that will keep the day-to-day person and family and things going. But let's use that quirky skill set and ask you to step out without a net and nothing and do something with it. Are you ready? Or do you quit? Well, I'm ready. So I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for, Felipe, but that's exactly how Bronc Riding Nation started. It started from a vacuum, from a horrible, terrible place. And when I started, getting to engage with the people that had bucking horses, I fell in love with them at 21. I was on the road and went to work for Jiggs Butler, Benny's daddy, and they had just lost their saddle horse guy, and I had a race meet. I was working a race meet, and it had just wrapped. And I was tired of racing. I didn't want to see another 3-year-old sling his leg down the racetrack. That just really wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. So,
You worked within the race industry for
in
a
racing,
couple of years, right?
yeah, because I mean, a learning experience. You can learn about legs. You can learn about this. I've always said that the best people can absolutely teach you the right way, but the worst people can also teach you the right way if you go at everything as a question. you know? So I was just putting together what I needed to know about horses, right? I go to Burwell, Nebraska with my girl jockey friend, and she's like, "All right, listen, we don't know what we're going to do with our lives, but let's go to Burwell. It's time they had races. I'll go to the barns and get me some races, and we'll put some money together, and then we'll figure. We got a week to figure out what to do with our lives, okay?" It's like, yeah, perfect. So I kick her out at the barns, and I drive through town, and there's like 3 bars. That's Burwell, 3 bars. And I went, oh, this is no. So I went back out to the rodeo grounds, and Jiggs was just leaving. He drove a big old Lincoln Continental car, the kind with the big old wheel in the back, and always had his hat like this. And he comes.
That's who I strive to be. After 40, that will be me, folks.
Yeah, what a stud.
Right, cock that hat. Exactly, exactly. So he rolled the window down. And I told him, I said, Mr. Butler, I don't know a thing about rodeo. I don't know what you got going on here, but I do know horses, and I'm a quick study and a hard worker. And if I don't find something to do in the next 7 days, if I'm just left to my own devices, I'm going to leave Burwell, Nebraska, an alcoholic, and I ain't having it. And he looked at me and went, "You're hired. Go over there," and drove off.
No, you had just met him?
Yeah, I mean, like that. Seriously, that's not an
Wow.
abbreviation at all. That's the conversation.
And what made you, what made you, do you remember what made you go to this man? Was it the cowboy hat? What was it?
It was the cowboy hat and the Lincoln. Nobody else had a cocked black 100X hat and Lincoln Continental driving around on the backside. It was only him, So I figured he was the one, right? Yeah. The racetrack will teach you to speak up. It is nothing to step out on the racetrack in the early morning and start saying, "I need a job. Who needs help? I need a job. Who needs help?" And somebody will come to the edge of the shed row and say, take a look at you and go, "Yeah, come here."
Okay.
Really?
And you can keep that job. Yeah. I mean, it will teach you.
I love that analogy. Let's just sit on that for 1 sec. How many people do we meet in our lives that all they do is complain and sit there and don't do anything to create these opportunities, right? I love that.
Right?
You go out there in the morning and you ask. You use the most powerful thing that God has given you, which is your voice or your hand signals if you can't speak, and you ask, does anybody need help? Does anybody?
Right.
That's
right.
amazing. I love that, Lori.
Right. It's
and that's what got you to go to him at that moment, and it probably
Absolutely.
changed the trajectory of your life. Looking back now, had you not gone up to that Lincoln, where would you be today?
That's when I left the racetrack, I thought I would learn to do legs. I thought I would learn to identify lamenesses. I thought I would learn a variety of things that I could trade my stall cleaning skills for. Right. What I didn't know I would learn was the changes in my personality. That it's called hustle. On the racetrack, everybody knows what hustle means. You say hustle in the real world, and they go, "Oh, you're selling sexual favors," and it's like, no, it's hustle. It's hustle. It's when you get up in the morning and you go,
You're
"Okay,
right.
so I need this. So who knows how I can get this? Maybe not who has this that I can get it from, but who knows how I can get this?" So you start talking to people and building and building and building. And pretty soon, boom, you know where you're going. That's hustle. That. So the racetrack gave me hustle, and Jiggs Butler's horses gave me an undying love for bucking horses.
But so you meet him, you ask for the job. He says, "Okay, you got the job. What happens next? You go out to his ranch.
His ranch is in Elk City, Oklahoma. We're on the road in Burwell, Nebraska. He's actually producing a rodeo, Nebraska's largest. So it's their road crew, and I just step out there and go, "Please hire me." And yes, okay, So I'm saddling the pickup horses. Well, back then, almost every pair of pickup men, especially the Butler and Sons pairs, they all bulldogged. So it was like 8 pickup horses, 2 per event, 2, a judge's horse and just a take introduction horse, right? But they would have their steer wrestling teams with them. So you hurry up and you get these horses all saddled and you get them all ready, and you learn them and what they like and what they want. Somebody teaches you, what goes to where, right? But you hurry up, and it's like, okay, so here's your first 2. Your second 2 are tied to the fence because steer wrestling's right after the bareback riding, right? Mm-hmm. So you run back out and go get a pair of steer wrestling horses. Climb on one. Hopefully it's the Hazen horse, because you don't know. You crawl on one and grab the other one and go warm them up with whatever you've got to warm up with. Sometimes it's a big, huge racetrack. Other times it's a 20 by 20 piece of dirt on a gravel parking lot. I mean, you don't know what you're going to come up to, but steer wrestling horses are so much fun because they're tracky, they're racy. Even the Even the Hazen horses are a little better broken, not quite as fiery. But all they want to do is lean on that bit and run. That's all they want to do is lean on that bit and run. There's no gears. There's no, okay, so we're going to slowly move into our aerobic phase today. No, you get on.
Yeah, they ain't raining horses, that's for sure.
You take a double handful of face and go, stay between my legs and my paws, okay, buddy? You know? So it was all big fun, and it was all, happened fast. So it was great. But there was a pen of bucking horses up by the pen of saddle horses.
Yeah.
And maybe I had to step into that pen of bucking horses. And what happened next changed my life. There were a certain few that picked their heads up and took steps toward me and said, hi, who are you? And do you have cookies? And there was the middle bunch that just kind of regarded you. She wants something or she wouldn't be in here. What are we supposed to do now? And then there was those guys on the back row who you ran your eyes across them as any horseman will, and they twitched like a fly had just landed on them. Get on me, get off me. I am not your huckleberry. You got nothing to do with me. I don't like you. I don't want you. I am the universe right here. No give. Wow. Every type of horse imaginable was right there in that pen, and they were all at my disposal. All I got to do was watch them. I mean, I'd crawl on any of them because I'm not crazy, but they all have something to teach. Every one of them has something to teach. There's so much horsemanship that's involved in bucking horses that people don't know about. You think, oh, well, you just run some terrified sale barn beast up in a box and get on him and just spur him to half to death and terrify him and hurt him. And then when they die, you just throw them away and get another one. No. It is so not that. Yeah. These horses have quirks like every horse. You go into a good stable of reiners or a good stable of cutters, and you just walk in and try to feed them breakfast. Say their grain's already mixed up and it's outside their stall doors, and you're going to go in there and try to feed them breakfast. You're going to get eaten. You are going to be eaten because you don't know the proper way to step into those stalls. Some horses just, get it to my feed box as fast as you possibly can and get out of my sight. And others there's protocols. Yeah. You stand and you say, hi, I'm going to be feeding you now. Yeah. And then there's the ones that you walk in and you go, I will kill you if you pick me up by the shoulder and shake me and throw me out of the stall. People think that it's like this A to Z, that this, one size fits all things, and that's not horses.
We just, before he came on, we were just talking about that. Cole's got 2 horses that he's working with. They're related, right, Cole?
Yeah, they came from the same place, both ex-reiners. Yeah. And, just wasn't fitting the bill for them. But we got one that took to the rope right away. Like, my buddy Grady just healed the first live cattle on him the other night, full contact, not aced. And then the other one that I'm riding a bunch, I still can't sit on him and swing a rope. Like, we're still working on that. But, like, you got to recognize, like you said, and how you talk about horses, you have to go into that pen with the proper intentions, calm yourself down or gear yourself up, match the energy, set a tone, set good intentions, and move forward with what you want to accomplish.
Absolutely. When I had a barn full of training horses, there were some days I woke up and, and for some reason, my husband would have some kind of a wild seizure, fall over backwards and start screaming about finances or some crap before the sun came up or coffee was made, and it's like, that'll ruin a day. Mm-hmm. So you go out to the barn, you kick that little edge with you and you look at your horses and you go, I'm not bringing this to you. I am not bringing this to you. And you turn them out, brush on them, take them for a walk. Your mood gets better. They're not subjected to your mood because you're not patient. If you've already had your patience burnt up for one day, it's not coming back. So you just gear your life towards the horses and the horses toward your life. And, it's the same way with kids, the things you wouldn't bring to a child, you don't bring to a horse, not their business, and some things they do isn't our business. And
it's funny you say that because I think there's a lot of parallels between kids and horses, because if a kid doesn't like you, you'll know right away. Right. And horses are the same way. They're so truthful. We live in a world where I think people wear so many masks, and it's like, before money, before love, before richness, give me truth and show me who you are. And a horse will show you who he is time and time again. And I think you said something very interesting, because the perception is, I was just at a talk 2 nights ago here in Calgary. It had nothing to do with rodeo, but a friend of mine, a cowboy, was speaking out, and I went to support him, and it was kind of like a chat. And the guy that was interviewing him, he was a bull rider. At one point, said, "So tell me about tying the bull's balls together." And it's like, man, it's the 21st century. That'd be like me saying that men still like it's okay for a guy to beat his wife. Like it's like, but that is a perception, right? That these horses are being abused. They're terrified. They hate.
Prevailing perception.
But when you see these horses and their mannerisms and their ears and their eyes and the way they act, as soon as that buzzer goes off, before you even take that flank strap off, you realize that they know, just like a roping horse or a reining horse or a cutter, that they know very well what their job is, and they love their job. They absolutely love their job, right?
Kirsten Vold's Painted Valley, her stallion, he was Horse of the Year. Big old gorgeous paint horses you can imagine. I mean, a forelock that would make up like all. He had more forelock than I've got hair, and I got hair, buddy. The 10th go round of, I think it was 2011 NFR, he clinched it for maybe it was Taos Muncie. But the horse, his ride, that 10th round, clinched it for Taos. The pickup man rode up and tripped his flank, and just like a racehorse will that's peaked and fit for a race, he relaxed and looked at that pony and kind of rolled his eye at the guy and play bucked all the way out of the arena. No flank, nothing. Just dumpty dump. Did we have fun? We had fun. That was so cool. We were cool. I was cool. Wasn't I cool? I was cool. I love it when like Virgil, C5's Virgil is the poster child, the horse of the season. He has been for several years. And it's because of the way he engages. The first time I saw him in person, we were down at AT&T Stadium, which is like a huge cluster for cowboys. I mean, it's cool, but difficulty to work and blah, Well, I'm walking by the back pens, and they got the back pens in the building. And I felt something. I mean, I'm just kind of running my eyes over them because I can't help but look at horses. And I felt something grab me. And I stopped and looked over, and there's Virgil. He had grabbed my attention here. And he looked at me, and I swear on everything that's holy, he said, "Hey, baby, suck you." And I went, here's this big, gorgeous gray horse just flirting with me. And he went, "I know that. You know that. We know that." Wow. It's like, that's how he is. You stand his same ground. I talk all the time about horses I admire and horses that I've got to stand the same ground with, because it's not the same. They'll let you know who they are. They're generous, just like you said. Some are a little guarded, a little jaded, or you catch them at the wrong time when they're in the middle of the game face, But they've all got a personality, and they will give it to you generously all of the time. And, you learn to be more respectful with bucking horses. Nobody ever imprints a bucking horse. You don't go out there and do all of the household horse holy grail stuff with them. They're born out. They're not stalled. There's no big foaling stalls. There's no foal watch. There's no this or that or the other thing. They're looked to on a daily basis, sometimes twice daily. But when they foal outdoors. They foal outdoors in company. They do it the natural way. The mares all kind of look over and goes, "Got a baby. Let's bring the baby."
That's interesting you say that, because I mean, I don't want to put flack on the other equestrian sports, but if we're gonna look at it with those eyes, like bucking horses have the best life out of any horse in the world, because they live such a natural lifestyle. Like, I've been to the Stampede Ranch, where we're talking like 600 head of horses living in real herds with herd dynamics, with the mare boss, and learning how to be a horse and not sitting in a stall doing this all day, which we've all seen, and it's heartbreaking, right?
Heartbreaking.
So when you look,
there's no neuroses in bucking horses. None.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what Lori is able to do so well, is to kind of show that side of bronc riding, which people don't normally see. But Lori, I just want to take a step back here a sec. When you talked about working for the first time in the rodeo, was that your first experience with rodeo, or had you already seen it? And what was the differences that you found between the horse racing market that you had been a part of and now the rodeo business?
I had a little taste of rodeo. Little taste,
a little taste.
A little taste. That's
I got you. But what was the example? What's what is the actual taste? You went to a rodeo. You worked at a rodeo.
grabbed my little barrel horse and showed up at a rodeo in my short sleeve shirt and tried to enter.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah, that's
perfect.
awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
Cole did the same thing last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Did you send somebody home for clothes? I had to send somebody home for clothes. Who knew? Right.
They just turned me out.
So I knew it, and I knew that I loved bucking horses. I just didn't know why. I mean, I could not resist going to the fence. I'd be standing there visiting at a rodeo like you do with your friends, and nothing important to do, and just I'd hear that first chute gate clang, and I was gone from them at the fence with my nose stuck on the fence, and that's where I'd be until it was all over. And it's like, well, where were we? Where are you? Were we talking? Didn't care. I mean, I loved it, and I didn't know why. So when I got a chance to know them, I did know why. The difference in the dynamics in horse racing and in bucking horses is the difference between inner urban. So think the deepest inner city you've ever been to, where grass is a difficulty to find, right? Versus living off the grid with solar panels and a nice stream nearby, and just meaning to blend into the background. That's the difference. The racehorses are so urban. I mean, they're so humanized. They do get neurotic. Some don't. Some just love the racetrack. They love it. But you see, like in thoroughbreds, the babies at 6 months old, but 3 to 6 months old is usually the first time they'll go through an auction, and they're not cheap auctions. These are auctions that are meant to bring impressive buyers and impressive skills, impressive amounts of money, and you take your best bloodstock there. But these babies they're just barely weaned. They're 3 months old, and they're suddenly in this racetrack dynamic, which is like being downtown. There's stoplights and there's sound and there's this and there's that and there's a structure and there's everything, and they're in a box and they can't see another horse, and life just changed for them, and it stays changed. They usually never get turned back out. Quarter horse racehorses are started at 16 months. I think that probably saying that thoroughbred racehorses were started any later would be erroneous. And we're talking generalities here. Like I said, there are no absolutes in horses. But by the time, but on Kentucky Derby Day, Thomas Mitchell bucks out all of his colts. So last year's crop, 2 years ago's crop, 3 years ago's crop, they buck out about 20 head, invite all the neighbors to do this, and they do it on Derby Day. To me, Kentucky Derby Day is the most sacred of all holidays. It's like, yay, okay, spring is here, and it's all about horses, and yay, this is my holiday, right? So you start to draw these correlations. There's these 3-year-olds that are being asked for the first time in their life to do anything besides show up and eat. Show up and let somebody look you over. Show up and step into the big load and chutes and be dewormed. Have your teeth looked at, right? It's the very minimal thing that goes on with them. The racehorses, by the time they're 3, they're sick of people. They've had a whole lifetime. They're either urbanites or they found out that they really just want to be country kids. Send me home. I can't do this, right? Wow. Their day on a daily basis, and it's been that way for the last year, is to go gallop at least a mile a day on average. Get out, get tacked, go gallop a mile, come back, lose that person, gain 2 new people, have a bath, have a shower, get groomed, get your stall done, and then hang out and do nothing without being able to see another horse until somebody shows back up to put another mile on you, right? These 3-year-old bucking horses look around and they go, the hell is this? What do you mean I'm being, what do you want something from me? No, you bring feed. That's your job. The world has gone completely crazy. And they bawl. They make the sound that horses don't normally make unless they're like in a fight, right? They bawl and growl and go on. And they're so offended because somebody asked them to do something. It's like, if you were a thoroughbred, you would be so sick and tired of this by now. You would just growl and stomp your feet and have a little kid hissy fit.
It's almost like you need to take them, like when you take kids from first world countries to third world countries, to give them some perspective. Be like, that's how they live in Nicaragua, bro. So do your homework, right? We need to take the Bronc horses at age 2 to the racetrack and be like, this could have been you, bro. So respect us.
Exactly. For a fact. So incredibly different. But when it comes down to matters of the heart, They're all the same. Their people love them just the same. They manage them just the same. You know, they wouldn't overwork them or put them in jeopardy just the same. You know, I mean, people tend to when faced with, oh well, bucking horses is cruel or bucking bulls are cruel, you know, they tend to respond with, my bucking horse is worth $90,000 and feeds my family. How do you think I'm going to be cruel to? I'm going to treat this being with anything less than, when that's so many jumps ahead. That's so many jumps ahead. You know, if you're being honest, it's like you just talk dirty about a horse I love, and that's one, and there ain't no two.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about passion. Nobody gets into horses to make money, for crying out loud. I mean, you may do it when you're very, very young and very dumb, and hopefully nobody hands you a big old pile of money to lose that you're expected to, like, you know, give back with, you know, 25% up, because it ain't happening. It's not happening. That money's
How do you become a millionaire with horses?
start with 5 million.
You start a billionaire.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's what
Precisely.
we say in Brazil. That's a famous saying because it's the truth. Like, you do it because you love it. No one wants to work that hard to get paid so little, to be out in the elements, right? Snow, rain, sun, whatever, wind. You're out there taking care of these animals, no weekends. And it's exactly what you said. You know, when these animals, not only are they worth this much, so obviously you're going to take care of it, but they're one of your kids. You go to the Calgary Stampede Ranch, and there's a cemetery there with all the legends buried, with a headstone, with flowers on it, telling their story, who they were, when they were born, when they passed away. Like, these are beings. They write their name in history, and I love how much they're celebrated in rodeo. And like I said, the passion that these animals have for their jobs, which you're able to see when they're bucking. Now, Lori, tell me about how long you were at that ranch for, your first experience with the rodeo, and what that led you to. What comes next?
It was just a real rounded education in bucking horses. I mean, Jiggs at the time had he had a mare that turned into one of his best foundation brood mares. Her name was Gypsy, and she was a spoiled saddle horse. She was black and gorgeous, and you know, I mean, if she rode, she would have been a $1 zillion mare. Well, she didn't want to ride and wanted nothing to do with anybody or anything. So she, you know, was bought by Jiggs and saved her life, basically. So Jiggs's daddy was old at the time. He was like 81. He had already passed on the company to his son. But as dads will do, he watched that operation every day and was like, "You're not doing it right. You're not doing it right." Well, you know,
sounds like a regular dad, 100%.
Sounds like a regular dad, no regular dynamic. You know, if you've got a dad, you know, you've been there, right? Yeah. So, we were in Elk City, Oklahoma, and our hometown rodeo basically was Elk City, but there was one in Oklahoma City at the state fair. So he says, "How many horses you taking to Oklahoma City?" I said 14. He says, "Set stalls for 16. All right, boss man. So I get there and I set 16 stalls and put my 14 in when they shipped in, and life is sweet. And I'm looking at these 2 empty stalls going, So I come back the next day and there is a gorgeous black mare that's just covered up with hands, and a really, really ratty looking, maybe 3 or 4 year old sorrel gelding, freshly gelded, not really moving the best, you know. I mean, he was in not a picturesque part of his life. I'm like, "Yeah, all right," you know. So Ellery comes down the hallway on his cane. He said, "Sis, did you see your 2 new horses?" I said, "Yes, sir. What are they?" He said, "Well, the black mare, that's Gypsy. Now, she's a spoilt saddle horse. You'll get along with her just fine." He said, "But I'm trying to prove to my son that this mare's timid at the feed monk, and she's got more than she's able to give because she can't eat. So I want you to put her up in the stall with you. She's out on Sunday. It's Thursday. I want you to feed her and bring her up. Don't be stupid, but make sure that she gets all the protein you can put down her, and lead her down to the bucking chutes when it's time to go. And after she's gone, I want you to throw the halter back on her and bring her back to the stall." I'm like, "All right. Hey," you know. So I tried the doll on her and make her all beautiful. And she was like, "You don't understand. I chose this life for a reason. Get off me." It's like, all right. Right. So her time comes and I sling the halter on her and she's good about it. And we walk down 2 barns worth, you know, down to get to the bucking chutes, and I drop her in the alley and she's good about it. And she steps on, steps up into her bucking chute, stands there real quiet, promptly drills her cowboy in the dirt at about 2 jumps, did him good. Out the strip and shoot she comes. She gets stripped. I step into the alley, hang the halter on her, step out with her. We're walking back up. From all those times walking racehorses back to their barns, the ones that won knew it. They would bump you. They would say, "Hey, did you see me?" They'd be on their little tippy toes, and everything sparkled and was shiny, and they were so nice and so excited and so, deeply calm, but really, really happy with what they'd done. That was Gypsy. She was on her tippy toes and just in my fingertips, and she'd reach over and bump me every so often. Go, "Did you see that shit?" Buried him, didn't I? Boom, boom. And I'm like, she knows, just like a racehorse. She knew. All horses have such similarities. And opening yourself to the possibility that there's meaning behind almost every expression, almost everything they do. And it's not all great natured. I've got a horse that thinks it's hysterical fun to stand on my foot. He catches me sleeping and, not paying attention. Yeah, he'll reach out and put that big old pie foot on me and then lean on it and then look me dead in the eye and go, "I like that, honey. I like that. Huh? We still want to go riding?" The horses know, and they're all different. But once you learn to open yourself up and ask them the question, most of them will step up and give you the answer. Yeah, that's how I fell in love.
I love the way you talk about horses, and this is something that I guess slowly over my time I've started to accept and started to really open my eyes and realize is like just having something a little bit extra other than just being able to, saddle one, ride one, get by one, do whatever. But being able to actually stand on the ground with one in the round pen or working one on the end of a lead line, whatever, and actually look them in the eye and be like, "All right, brother, we're a team. We're in this
Absolutely.
together." Right? Like, so I love the way that you connect with animals. And like you said, walking through AT&T, like that building it's, it's massive.
Formidable and prohibitive, isn't it?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so you got all that space, but you felt that lock on your heart from somewhere. And then when you saw it, you're like, "Oh, it's you. You're
Right.
reaching out to me." Like
Right.
when you're open and you can start to really feel that, it unlocks a whole other world in horses.
I spent about 10 lost years starting backyard colts in my part of the world, which means they are miserable, spoiled, truly backyard colts that will kill you for a cookie and never expected to do a bit of work in their life, or they're completely left alone. They've scared somebody and they've gotten that's their dynamic with people. So when people talk about, I started backyard colts, you roll your eyes and go, "Well, it's like, no, no, that's a trick. Starting backyard colts is a trick." These people sent me this pretty little painting one time. She was 3, I think, and she really was all about herself. She didn't want to come out of her bubble at all. I've never seen one. My method used to be, okay, so the first thing we need to do is learn to stand tied, past the point where you want to be standing tied. So big old tree, big old truck inner tube, tie him to the tree. I looked out there several times and thought horses can't do that. That's not a physical thing that horses can do. "Sissy, are you okay?" And I mean, she was like, she was going to kill that tree. It's like, "Okay, baby." So, she gave it up. And it's like, "All right, good, good." And that's kind of process with horses, isn't it? I mean, we ask them to do something scary and then to give it up, to realize that it's not scary and give it up. And then we introduce something else. And pretty soon they allow us to introduce things to them because we haven't gotten them hurt. None of their worst dreams have come true. So this filly, I take her to the round pen for the first time, and I've got her saddled, and I've got, there's all kinds of dangly things, and I'm just like days away from stepping on her. And this I don't know if it was a water truck, some tractor, some jangly banging clanging, thing comes up the road. The round pen was right by the road, and she looked up and saw it, and I looked up and saw it, and went, "Yeah, let's just see how she responds." So I quit talking to her, quit asking her for anything, threw some slack in the lead I had on her, and just stood there. So this scary thing comes up the road, and she's watching it, and it's terrifying. She is scared. She ran up the rope to me, stood right in my little bubble, and jumped up and down, jumped and kicked straight in place. She was scared. She was terrified. She blew up. But she came to me before she blew up. Never took the slack out of the rope, never put a foot on me. It was just, she was terrified and she wanted me to know, and she thought might help. But she felt confident enough around me to have this whole nervous breakdown about this thing driving by And then when it was gone, she looked down the road after it and looked at me and went, we survived. You know, anytime you can have a near-death experience with a horse and you both survive, it's good for the relationship. I don't, I don't know if that translates well to people, but it's isn't it? I mean, you know what I mean. You've all felt this. You've both felt this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's it makes you closer to them, right? And to see, I love that story you just told, because I could in my mind, when she was staring at that thing far away, when she just relaxed, I could just see the and the licking of the lips. And it's like, is there any better feeling than that? Like when a horse releases, like you're just
none.
oh.
And you know what? If you would have had the camera on me, knowing that she was going to blow up, not knowing which way she was going to go, but my job was to not blow up and have a nervous breakdown. Whatever she did, my job was to not do that. My job was to remain solid as a rock, continue breathing, continue deep breathing, stay relaxed, stay focused, stay soft-eyed, you know, address the world with the countenance that it's all okay. It is all okay. There's nothing out here that can possibly throw that zen into yourself when a horse is about to have a nervous breakdown. And you, there's a little tiny part of you that you squish that's going, run for your life.
We're all gonna die.
Roll that rope and run. Yeah, no, you stay hooked and don't die. And it's like, okay, thank you. That was great.
Amen. Because I feel like we can take for granted all the times that we get into some kind of wreck or in a situation where with a horse and we walk away unscathed, and you're like, all right, well, cowboy on, let's keep getting the job done. When in reality, you need to stop and be like, whew, thank you, Lord. Thank you, horse. Everybody's good. All right, now let's push
and
forward.
is it not just daily? If you're doing it for a living, if you're doing it full time, it's you can after dinner, right before you go to sleep, you can stop and go, okay, so how many times was I near killed today?
In the last hour. Like it's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's insane.
Exactly.
It's insane. And you're right. We need to kind of take a step back sometimes and realize, how lucky we are, how blessed we are.
Yes.
And thank the Lord, because it takes 2 seconds. We've all been there, everything's okay. And then everything's not okay. And you don't know which way the ground is or which way the sky is. And you got hooves coming down and horses' asses. But
exactly.
Lori, I just want to go back a little bit to that moment that you talked about briefly about why you started Bronc Riding Nation. Was that the lowest point of your life?
Absolutely. I just lost a child.
Yeah,
I just lost a child. I was living in a camper because my house had already burned down. My husband committed suicide. It wasn't that far into it. When I found him. My good horse that I wanted to live forever. That one that God promises you if you brush your teeth and do everything just exactly right, fold up your towel when you're done with it. That horse that you look at and go, maybe we should. And that horse goes, I got you. You don't have to finish. It's like a good teamwork and partnership, right? You can start the sentence. He can finish the sentence, right? That horse had laid down and died, It was terrible darkness. It was terrible darkness.
And what, like for people that may be listening to this or watching this and maybe going through a moment like that in their lives, because as you know, we all go through it. It's like this, right? There's valleys and there's mountaintops and nothing is forever, What got you out of that? Like, I can't imagine, that's the worst thing a mother can go through. What was your strength? What got you through that moment?
Time and service, believing that I had something left to do, looking, just you flip the plot. This should be life ending. This should be death for you. Everything that was your anchors and you lived for and you lived in service to, gone. It should be the end. So you come, obituaries talk about survivors, so-and-so survived by la la la, right? And you don't really understand the impact of that word until you're one of those la 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 and up there in that first paragraph, right? So there comes a time when you make a decision. And it's an active decision. People used to tell me, oh, happiness is a decision. And I'm like, you have the world blow up in your face 7 times a day like it does with me, and tell me that happiness is a decision. I would just like a break, right? Sure. That's youth and chasing children and, everything that you do in your youth. And it's like, well, When I grieved the first time, I learned that happiness was a decision and that survival was a decision. So if you're going to live for something, live, find, find the place that needs you. And when it came to bucking horses, the people that own bucking horses are articulate, they're intelligent, they're storytellers, they're amazing human beings. I wake up every day being grateful for the humans I get to work with because they're awesome. They're awesome. And I'm 68 years old. I learn every day from these people. They teach me something. So I wake up every day grateful for that. But you have to step out and you have to go, okay, look, you guys with the bucking horses, I love you. I love your horses. I see that fraternity programs are growing. I see that ridership is dwindling. I see that PETA is growing. I see that the urban versus rural balance is completely skewed. There's 90% of us that live urban, 10% of us that live rurally. How can these people possibly know about horses? How can they possibly understand what they've never ever seen? They look at a picture of a horse from the seventh floor or the balcony of their apartment, and they say, "Oh, this is my spirit animal." They don't know the first thing about them, but they care, and they have hearts, and they need horses, but they can't get to them. So what they do is they become a voice for the voiceless, which becomes their identity, which is death to horses. It's death to horses. If you, if I, God forbid, murdered somebody, my choice, I would not go to my dentist and say, "Hey, can you defend me in court?" Not my dentist. That would be a lawyer and a very specific one, right? That's what happens when people who have no information, no knowledge, no practical experience with any type of animal decide to become their voice. They don't even speak the language. It's like the Tower of Babel, but we recognize them because there's more of them. No, we need to recognize those who have dedicated their lives to being with these horses. Call me uneducated, do that all day long, but I'm here to promise you the horses provided me with the best education that could possibly be had. There's no piece of paper that I could hang on the wall that would make such an impact and a dramatic difference in who I am and educate me in the things that matter more than horses do. None.
Amen. There's no degree you can put on the wall because at the end of the day, you can't go sit in a class and learn about it. You have to go do what you did. You walked to the end of a barn and said, "Please pick me. I need work. I know horses. I don't know horses. I want to learn about horses. Please pick me." You got to be out there shoveling shit and tacking up and walking out and washing and just learning
And
the
riding
different
that no good
aspects.
bastard first thing in the morning.
Amen.
On a cold, windy day.
It's a school of hard knocks kind of degree.
Because when you knew on the ranch, you're gonna get the coldback bucky bastards. That's what you're gonna get to ride. So you wade through the coldback bucky bastards and show them that you can A, sit in the middle of them, B, not overreact, C, they act a little better for you as time goes on, and D, you kept them shiny as a brand new penny. So pretty soon they're handing you palominos and buckskins and the pretty ones, so you can make them shiny. And that's how you get into horses that are way over your head that can teach you something. I didn't know horses had gears at a trot. Did you know that? I rode our own daughter a dock bar one night. I went over to the barn late at the ranch, and our foreman was over there, and she was riding this mare, which was really unusual for her. And and the whole place is deathly quiet and after dark. And I stepped around the corner and said, "Oh, hi, Donna," and went to walk away. And she goes, "No, come here." She climbs off of this mare, drops her stirrups. She was a midget, drops her stirrups. says, and I'm an Amazon, right? So I get on this mare, and she said, "In the subtlest way you know how, ask her to walk off." So I do. And we spend 20 minutes with Donna completely recalibrating how I felt about what a horse was capable of. This mare had 3 gears at the trot, 3 gears at the lope. She'd walk in 3 gears. And it was the difference between that. It was intention that changed those gears and kept them solid. Who knows how many hours went on this good, intelligent mare to do what they train her like she was trained. If I had to speak to Congress, I would want to empower this mayor to speak because she is far more intelligent than I. Come with me, mayor, because you need to talk to these people because I don't have it. I don't have what they need to know. You apparently do because you learned this. Amazing.
Yeah, you have it. I'm just like hearing you speak is like reading a book in real time. Like you speak so eloquently, and you're such a great voice for horses and people that love horses. Like, do you just you were thinking there, Congress? Like, it got me thinking. Do you think about going into politics? Would you ever? Like, we need people like you to represent us.
Listen to me. Listen to me. When I was a kid, my mom gave swimming lessons. There was no pool in our hometown. Her dream in life was that we had a municipal pool, right? So I don't know why she was unable to. I think it was just timing. When I was coming up, it was when women were finally being like recognized and allowed into the boys clubs. So the Junior Chamber of Commerce, the JCs, right? I stepped into the JCs, and a lot of the guys just quit on the spot because it was a good old boys club for them. They didn't want to get anything done for the community. They wanted to go drink and keep it from their wives, whatever. So they went away. I stayed, and the very next year, I became president and worked to get a municipal pool in our hometown.
Wow.
That was my up to date. That was my brush with politics, and I learned so many things, and none of them are very nice, right? So it turns out, and apparently now with the Horse Protection Act having just been ratified in the states, scary. It is scary. So they've, nobody jumped up and got it stopped, but now that it's here, they've tabled it for 60 days to work on implementation. So check this out. You're a rodeo committee or you're an event producer. Now you have to hire enough people that they can pre-check every horse going to compete and post-check every horse going to compete. Can you imagine that at Calgary?
Oh no.
Oh dear.
Mm-hmm.
Is this nationwide for the US?
Nationwide.
And it's passed? Like, this is a law?
And it's passed. It's passed. They,
Oh no.
I always wondered, it's like, will the community wake up? Will the community wake up and understand that we all need to hold hands? Yeah. So I love bucking horses. You love barrel horses. You love Western pleasure horses. You love gated horses.
Got to come together.
We got to come together. We all love horses.
But you're the kind of person that could bring people together. You know what I mean?
Trying.
Well,
oh my
yeah,
goodness.
I know you are. And you're doing
Doing a great
tremendous
job.
work. You're doing an amazing job. And yeah,
So-
we need
so
more.
what would happen?
Pardon?
What would happen if on our continent, okay, so Canada and the US, what would happen if we took action to have the agrarian community deemed minority?
I need to know what agrarian is. I'm not gonna lie.
People, you cowboy, people who deal in agricultural things.
Oh, okay.
People
Yeah.
eating the world.
They're right. Yeah.
They need to stop. Imagine if they all stopped.
Right.
Yes.
As they did in Europe. Right.
Yes.
Well, we're kind of according to the social networks, we're kind of seeing it right now. Apparently, 45% of Texas's workforce, a migrant workforce, the pickers, showed up. The farm workers showed up in the last 2 days, and it's about the same in California, a little deeper. They're afraid to show up to work and be deported, so they're not doing that.
Wow.
So what happens? Minority communities, if they don't just gut DEI altogether, minority communities have for a long time depended on. I was a construction worker. My son needed braces on his teeth really, really bad. So it's time for Lori to quit the fun jobs and go get a job that has enough insurance, put braces on this kid's teeth. Good looking kid, needed the braces. So just because of the Inclusion Act, I went to apply for a construction job, and they couldn't just throw my resume away because I was a girl. They needed X amount of women, X amount of minorities on each and every job, especially if there was federal funding that was involved in the job. So they had to hire me. They hated my guts. They tried to kill me a lot, but I got braces on my kids' teeth. And it would not have happened if, and women, it's like, how can you say women are minorities? Well, they're a minority in certain classes that don't accept women. I mean, women are a minority in the priesthood, I imagine. There are things. So once somebody says, yeah, but you're going to have to, even if you hire just to sit in the corner and peel potatoes for later on today, you know, you gotta hire her because you have to, right? I've been the beneficiary of that. I think I think that if the farmers and ranchers and workers and the people who stock contractors, Calgary,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, we raise large animals, right? What if we're now considered a minority and have certain minority protections? What if we have this minority declaration gives us just enough time to take a look at this like for instance the Horse Protection Act and go, no,
Yeah,
no,
I see where you're going with this, and I totally agree with you. And I think I'd go even further to say it should be protected like a religion.
absolutely,
Yeah.
Did you know
absolutely,
that in Canada, the RCMP changed their regulations of uniform because a Sikh man became an RCMP officer. So instead of wearing the Stetson hat that they'd worn for 100 years, 100+ years, he was now allowed to wear his turban because it's his religion.
right?
It's his culture, right? And
Yes,
this is our culture. So
yes,
why are we not being allowed to live it,
yes,
Yeah.
right?
yes,
But
Felipe.
we don't have people saying these things to the men with the pen in the hand. That's the problem. We're very good at doing this amongst ourselves, but we know this,
Very good,
right? So
Yeah.
so
very
how
good
do
at
we
it.
go to Washington? How do we go to Ottawa? How do we go to Brasilia? And how do we get these people to understand that
By
this is
plane,
more than a sport? This is a
plane,
lifestyle, it's a culture, it's a religion, and it's putting food on people's tables around the world. I think the only way to do it is to shut down. Like if every rancher
Turn
and
off the tap.
farmer and trucker tomorrow, let's say in Canada, the US, or both countries together said, no, we're not moving for as long as it takes for us to get what we want. What would happen? Society would go into chaos. That's what would happen.
Yeah.
The
that's exactly
gas
what
is not
happened.
going to get to the gas stations. The food's not going to get to the supermarket. How long is it going to last before they cave in and do what we want? You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
it's union. It takes everyone on the same page. It can't be one or two or three. It's got to be everyone. And that's the hardest part about it, I find, is that we're so disconnected. But listen, Lori, I don't want to take up more of your time. We could literally sit here and talk to you. I could listen
We
to your
need a
voice
part 2.
for the rest of my life. Yeah, we're
Let's
definitely doing a part two with you.
let's do a part two. Let's do a
I
part two.
recommend
And
doing a part
understand,
two.
Felipe, that I'm pretty hell bent. I think it's a matter of timing thing, but I'm putting together what's needed for Lori and company to go to the Capitol
Love it.
and step through Congress
Let's
and the
go.
Senate and
Let's
say,
go.
you know, farmers feed you, ranchers feed you, you know, restricted to death. It's a hard enough market out there.
Yes, ma'am.
We are absolutely minority in number. Please, please deem us minority.
I love it.
Yes. And I got
I
to get this
love
off
it.
my chest real quick because I just heard this story from a buddy the other day, but he got to go to a really, really fancy steakhouse, and he's a cowboy. He makes his horse, or he makes his living off the back of a horse, and he rolled in there with his felt cowboy hat on, and they made him take his cowboy hat off to eat at this place, and that made me so mad. And I was like, you know what? This is a perfect Yellowstone scene moment where you get to go off on somebody and be like, the meat that you sell here for $150 a plate was raised by a cowboy, drove to the butcher by a cowboy, cut up by a cowboy. I'm wearing my damn hat in your stupid restaurant, or I'm going somewhere else. Like,
Right,
are you kidding me?
100%,
right, exactly,
man.
exactly.
That drove me
Yeah,
nuts. I had to get that off my chest.
But that's it though. It's like
that's it.
it's a perfect story. There's no respect. There's no respect for the hardest working people in the world who are literally keeping us alive, like putting food on our table. They should be celebrated. Their lives should be made easier. Like Congress should go to them and say, "How can we help you?
Yeah.
Like, what do we need to do? What laws we need to implement to help you? Because you're goddamn heroes." And instead, they make it harder because these people have never been to a ranch. Exactly what you're saying. Looking at a horse through an apartment, raising a cat and a plant, and telling us how to take care of animals. People that raise 500 head of cows, and
Thank
you
you,
know,
thank you. And
it's
keep them
so
alive and mostly stay alive doing it.
Mhm.
exactly.
Mostly.
So, Lori, whatever you need from us, you tell us. We'd love to help you in this endeavor. You know that I love Bronc Riding Nation. Cole has just been integrated. He's another student child, pupil, and you can count on him as well. I know it because he has
Absolutely.
an amazing heart, and good people just need to get together on this. I want to ask you a last question, and then Cole's going to fire off the last one that we ask all our guests. I know you've said it, you know, your diploma is in your heart and your soul, and it was thanks to the horse. You've learned so much from these amazing animals. But if you could pick one lesson that you carry with you, which one would it be?
Be kind. Be kind. Because here's the thing. Everybody's a little scared. And some people are more afraid than others. And we do a real good job as a human race to kind of put that aside and to just, grit it out and go out into the world. If we did more as an individual, just to welcome people into our places, into things that we can maybe help them with, or just say a kind word and let them know that the space they're filling up, they are worth that space. It's just as basic as that. Once you empower people, it's amazing what they will go off and do. Amazing what they will go off and do. So I would say that's it. Don't be fearful. Break out of that fear thing, because it doesn't belong to you, and help others to break out of that fear thing too, and do it with love. There.
Phenomenal.
That's it.
Love it. Love it.
That's so good. All right. So now our final question of the episode. We like to ask all of our guests. Podcast is called Should Have Been a Cowboy. So when we do have a guest that isn't a cowboy, we like to ask, what kind of cowboy you would be. But since you are already a cowgirl, the question is, if you weren't a cowgirl, what would you be, or what would you be doing?
If I weren't a cowgirl, that's so foreign. That's so foreign. I was that throwback, born to people that didn't want me to be a cowgirl, didn't know anything about cowboys, thought this was all weird. So I had to fight to get here every step of the way. What would I be if I wasn't this? Oh my goodness, I don't know, nothing. I nothing. I wouldn't. It's so
That's all right too.
hard. It's my fabric,
Yeah.
It's who you are. I love
Yeah.
that answer.
Yeah, we love to hear that, honestly, because
Yeah.
sometimes you recognize at a young age. We just got to talk with Bella DaCosta, who saw trick riding for the first time at age 4 and was like, "That's what I want to do." And now
Love
she's
that.
one of the best going down the road, right? So sometimes you just know.
Little Bella, born
Yep.
activist. Did you catch that from her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was amazing. Honestly, she said, "It's my first podcast" at the end. I'm like, what? Like, oh my God. I thought, and she did such a great job, and
Mhm.
and just a natural.
Just a natural. Yeah, we need to harness her and get her to harness her generation. Come this way.
The
Amen.
future looks bright. The future
Yes,
looks
it
bright.
does. Yes,
But
it
thanks
does.
to pioneers like you, who literally have put their life on their line, and all your time and your resources to helping horses and Western heritage, and this life that we know it, and we know how beautiful it is and how much it gives us, and what a way to share with other people. So Lori, thank you so much. Bronc Riding Nation, check them out. They're amazing. Everything they're doing, whatever you need from me, it, just give me a call, send me a message, and we got you.
As always, much love, Felipe, and thank you
So much
so
love.
very much for having me on.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Lori. Have a great day.
Thank you, Lori.
Bye, sweetie. Nice to meet you, Cole.
Nice to meet you too. We'll catch you down the trail.
Wow.
Dude, I can't explain to you how many times I got freaking shivers and goosebumps in that interview. I didn't get a chance to ask it. This is why I vouch for part 2. But that lady has some witchcraft in her for just that deeper connection in animals.
I didn't want to say it because it can be bad, right? Like you have this witchy thing to you, but it's not bad at all. Like what we're saying is like she has this like feeling, this perception, this and it's not just with horses, it's with people too, man. Like you meet this lady and Lori's energy is different. Like she's, I don't know, like where she's come from, who she is, what kind of life she's been through in the past, but like you could just feel that there's something special there. And what a treat, right? Like, what a treat. Just a masterclass.
Dude, that was like we talked about a little earlier. Like I've seen Bronc Riding Nation stuff around a lot, but I've never known the face behind it. So then when you sprung it on me that we were talking to the face behind the Bronc Riding Nation, I was like, okay, like great. Like she's built something really cool. Very excited to hear the story. But then, but this is why we started this podcast, man, because there's people like Lori out there that are doing big things that are behind.
And no one knows about her.
Exactly, dude. Like it's freaking insane. So the fact that we just got to talk to her like that, man, is and kind of help push her message a little bit and what she's doing a lot more. And I'm really glad we got to touch on some of the political aspects, because there is things getting pushed through Parliament that fucking should not be,
Yeah.
and we've got to get it cracked down, dude, because it's chipping
Man.
away at the lifestyle that won the West, the lifestyle that feeds everybody.
Yeah, bro. It's like we need better representation, and it's tough, right? Because true cowboys hate politics because it's against everything they believe in. You know, it's like you got to play the game, you got to do that thing, or you may not like someone, and that's so far away from us, right? And you got to be in the big city, but we need better representation, man. If we don't have, as much as we can talk, we can make noise, we explain. But if you don't have people there that are actually lobbying, that's why they have lobbyists, right? These companies are spending billions of dollars to get these people in there and just push their ideals, right? And but anyways, I learned so much, bro. Like honestly, like just like you said, just getting chills the whole freaking time and goosebumps, and like I was just thinking like, oh my God, we got to cut this. Like this needs to be a reel. That needs to be a reel. I'm like, no, forget about those things. Like this needs to be a reel. Like, oh, Cole, you're in trouble, bro. Like I don't know how you're gonna do this, but I want collab me on whatever you post with her.
Yeah,
because
there'll be some good collabs out of that one, man. She had just incredible things to say and didn't need a lot of direction, dude. You give her a little bit, she took a mile. It was incredible.
Oh my God, Lori, thank you so much. Bronc Riding Nation, everything you do, and you guys support Lori, support Bronc Riding Nation, because she's doing some amazing things for our world.
Absolutely. That was Lori from Bronc Riding Nation. You guys know where to find us. You guys can watch the full episode, see our faces, see who we're talking to. YouTube, get us on Instagram, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts, guys. Thanks for tuning in.